Is this closed off to foot traffic as well?
No, you can walk. You gotta watch out for that once they're doing construction and all that there.
Okay. Any idea when they're going to open this road up?
Maybe the next 2 days or so.
The snake. Yeah. It's pretty cooked. And if you saw Gerard Butler's video there on Wandermere Road, that's where I am. Wow, there's nothing left of that thing. Only the brick is standing. You know, you build a house out of brick and the earthquakes get it. You build a house out of wood and the fires get it, so you really can't win here in California. Oh, you better leave alert. I might just throw a random fry in the middle. Oh, who's faster? That was good. So Mulholland Highway sort of terminates at the snake right up here. Some days I'll actually go up and come back. It only adds like maybe 10 minutes to my commute. But you know, then I get to work and I'm all sweaty. So I don't do that every day. Yep, closed off. To get a view of the snakeage. Oh yeah, look at that. That thing's totally destroyed. How are ya? You might
Be here very long. Exactly.
Oh, like 30 seconds. I was just going to get like a quick shot of that. Is that all right? Yeah. Thanks. For all you direct energy weapons conspiracists, steel may melt at 2,500 degrees, but it loses about 50% of its strength at only about 1,000 degrees F. So, you know, it'll deform with just a little bit of load. Thanks a lot. Look at this. Totally incinerated. So I'm going to try and get to the snake from the other side. So the Wolsey Fire was a brush fire. It started on Woolsey Canyon Rd. There's Santa Susana Field Research Laboratory. The cause of the fire is unknown. Now, California has had a long history with fires. People think there's something going on, whether it's global warming or a conspiracy with direct energy weapons from outer space, but it's a number of factors. I think in 1936, California fires burned like 800,000 acres. And they had similar damage in, I think it was 34, 1942, 1943, 1950. They just had epic fires here. Road work ahead. Oh, maybe not. Let's see. Oh, I remember they had a party here. I was here like, I don't know if you remember that video I did on New Year's Eve when the V4 came out. But I was up here. I actually stopped right here. Guess I'm not the only one up here. The snake. Dun dun dun. Here they had valet parking and everything, and all these limousines were pulling up. Is this closed off to foot traffic as well?
No, you can walk. Even though I'm here, doesn't mean that there's not going to be traffic going up and down, okay?
Yeah.
You got to watch out for that once they're doing construction and all that there.
Okay.
You know, with all the lines and stuff like that, so make sure you're looking at.
All right.
Okay?
Any idea when they're going to open this road up?
Maybe the next 2 days or so.
Okay. Thanks. It's a nice Explorer. Oh, man. Oh, it's totally toasted. The direct energy weapon conspiracists talk about why you'll see a burned out car and then in close proximity a tree that's, you know, still standing. That's because trees have bark. So during combustion you get ablation of the bark, which basically forms this char layer of insulation, this thermal insulation, which protects the tree. The trees themselves, they take up water, so the fibers are you know, saturated with water. Even though we've had a drought, they're still wet. Have you ever tried to start a campfire with wet wood, you know what I'm talking about. It's not that easy. Unlike a stick-built home, which is built with dried 2x4s or 1.5 by 3.5. I actually had an old 1860 Victorian which was built with real 2x4s. The snake. Yeah. It's pretty cooked. It may be hard to see with the GoPro, but all of this is cooked. Yeah. Yeah. If you're familiar with the extended version of my intro to my YouTube videos, this is where I filmed it from. Look, you got the greenery here in the center. All that green vegetation, and then everything around it is cooked. It's like shale. Stuff's brittle. From what I understand, that guardrail there, the blocking supports, the shims that are on that guardrail over there, they're actually totally gone, incinerated. They're not even there anymore. If you see this last tree right here before the guardrail, there's a parking area over there. That's where like our Mickey Mouse hangs out. And you get a pretty good vantage point of people dumping as they come counterclockwise around this corner. What's going on?
Your chain's pretty loose.
Yeah. But I haven't really ever figured out why that corner is particularly tricky and why people go down. I've never had any issues with it. But does people say that it's banked the wrong way, that doesn't positive camber or something, and I've looked for like, you know, irregularities or debris in the road, but I can't really find it. But people dump there all the time. I don't know if they just sort of get stage fright because there's so many people looking on, especially on Sundays. A lot of people come up here, they hang out down there, they hang out up here, people taking, you know, pictures and video. It's short. I mean, the snake is, it starts out at around the rock store, and it might only be like, it feels like 2 to 3 miles maximum. I'd say it's like 1.5 to 2 miles. I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to look it up, but it is very technical. It's the first part of my V4 video series there. It doesn't look that tight, but you know, going through there at 40 miles an hour is going pretty quick. You're moving through there. It's really, really tight. Look at that. All of that is burned. Incredible. It's a big spool of wire. Oh damn, look at that utility pole right there. I guess they've got to replace like 900 of those things that were damaged in the fire. You know why? No bark. Again, all of this is burned out. Look at that. That is totally cooked. The whole face of that mountain is cooked. Alright, we're headed to PCH here. It's an incredibly dangerous road, especially down towards the Santa Monica end. So this is Zuma Beach. It was an evacuation point. They had like llamas and alpacas tethered to lifeguard stations. So we're right behind Point Dume Beach here. And if you saw Gerard Butler's video there on Wandermere Road, that's where I am. Wow. Do not take. Just about every house on the street. pretty modest homes. I know they're probably expensive because it's California, but these aren't mansions. These look like, you know, working class type homes. It's like a Camaro convertible. A couple of vintage Camaros. Early 70s. And that looks like an 80s IROC back there. I just restored an 89 Mustang GT, and I spent 2 years worth of weekends, gave up a lot of time, made a lot of sacrifices to restore that car. So I can only imagine what it's like to lose a couple of classic cars. Only the brick is standing. You know, you build a house out of brick and the earthquakes get it. You build a house out of wood and the fires get it, so you really can't win here in California. You can't really see, but there's another house over here. There's a chimney sticking up there. It's totally burned out. Burned to the ground. Dume Drive. Wow, this road's worse than Windermere. Wow, there's nothing left of that thing. This house gone. This is Blue Water Road, copper roof. It's a beautiful tree. You can see the copper roof of this home. You know, a lot of conspiracists were wondering why, like, this house is burned out, and then this one's fine, this one's fine, and then this one's totally burned out here. But that's because you've got 50 to 60 mile per hour winds blowing embers all over the place. So it's going to be somewhat erratic or anomalous. A washing machine. You can see this house up here. Totally cooked. So the girl from my intro on my YouTube channel videos, we actually had our first date here. This is Point Dume Beach. This is actually my favorite beach. It reminds me of the beaches that we have back home in New England. You know, you only got like maybe a couple hundred feet from the parking lot to the water. You know, the beaches in New England are all secluded and kind of quaint. Unlike the beaches in California, which, like, if you go to Huntington Beach, it's like you got to bring your hiking gear to get from the parking lot to the water. What do we got here? Chicken biscuit. Shit is wet. Oh, damn. Is this Gerard Butler's house? No, he's like in a compound. It's all that 300 money. Nothing left. Washing machine. Looking at the ladies in my 80s Mercedes. I had to pull out my 1980s GPS. See that? Okay. This is how we did it. PCH. Going to Bush. Not gonna do it. Going to Cuthbert and Harvester. Alright, let's do it. Blower's good. There's bad. Right bad. Oh, they're already rebuilding. Look at that. Wow. Settle down, Ducati. Getting all worked up here. Doesn't like this stop and go. Damn. Look, that thing's flat. Oh, it's a friggin' Rolls Royce. That thing's toast. Harley. Oh, the giant apple. I read an article that someone wrote about just letting Malibu burn, just because it's just gonna burn again. and it's only endangering more people to have so many houses here. The boat is cooked. Look at that thing. Ah, damn. Freaking Volkswagen. I'm sure these guys are so overworked. I mean, they probably want the overtime, but still. What's up, fella? Oh, gonna be like that, huh? Now, if you've seen my other video, you're familiar with this area. This is actually Mulholland Highway. This is pretty much my commute every day. I can take the highway if I want to, get to work in 20 minutes or so, or I can go back roads, do the twisties. Some of the best motorcycling in the country is here in Southern California. Now, Mulholland Highway is mostly residential, a lot of ranches, a lot of farms. And this is where I had stopped last time. So one thing that happens after a fire is you lose the vegetation root structure of the soil. So there's nothing really holding the soil together on these, on these hills and mountains. So you get these tremendous rock slides. You can see all the horses here. Back to business as usual. So all of these mountains here were affected. You can see, if I can catch it, all of this here, all of this over here for miles in both directions is affected. There's a ton of dirt and loose soil all over the road, so I got to be a little bit careful here. You can just see this was all covered with vegetation, mostly dried brush, and this is all burned out. It's like being on the surface of the moon or something. So altogether, I think the fire burned around 97,000 acres. It displaced, I think, 300,000 people. That's how many were evacuated. Destroyed like 1,600 structures. You probably saw Gerard Butler's post of his house being toasted. But like Daryl Hannah, Miley Cyrus, I think, Fred Durst, and Little Pump. Even Neil Young's house down in Topanga, that was destroyed. Guys, moving along. But all these ranges for miles are just burned to a crisp. Oh, you like that glove technique right there? Oh, yeah. That's how I do it. Let's go, glove. I'm going to go left here and show you Malibu Lake. Look at that. Just the chimney is standing. Wow. These poor people. There's another home here totally destroyed. A washing machine. There's another home up there. Totally wiped out. This is Malibu Lake. This is just a beautiful area. It took me a while to figure out how to get down here. All of these mountains here, this entire range is burned out. Ooh. Like I was saying, there's a lot of debris all over the road. I've actually got it in wet mode. It's not going to help you so much if the road is covered with loose gravel. That peak is cooked all the way to the top, to the very top. If you go back and look at my V4 video, the first one, part 1, you can sort of revisit this, what it looked like before the fire. You don't really think of backhoes when you think of firefighting, but they're an essential tool. I mean, to build the fire breaks, there's really no other way to do it. You can see that fire made its way all the way down here. Look at that. Burning embers. Down from there all the way to here. wonder if I cross over the beach here. I know there were some houses here that got damaged from the fire. Fancyanimal Canyon Road. This is one of the first roads, one of the first LA Canyon roads I ever rode on when I first came here a couple years ago. A nice view of Malibu here. Oh, look at those black palm trees. God damn. This dried vegetation is quite pretty. The colors. It's like the lead singer of Metallica. Never free. Oh, I got slow. This guy's rocking and rolling. We had a heavy rain here towards the end of November, which helped put out the fire, but you can see the grass is already coming back. So I'm going to leave a list of ways that you guys can volunteer and donate. If you're interested in doing that, I'll leave that in the description section of the video. But you can donate to the Los Angeles County Fire Department. You can also donate to the LAFD. Donald Trump had tweeted that a lot of the fire was, you know, due to poor land management by the state of California. But there are a number of factors. I mean, he wasn't totally wrong. Only 3 months ago, I think, the state legislature enacted a law to remove a lot of the dead wood and brush because they knew there were issues in this area. But there are a number of other factors. I mean, you had the Santa Ana winds, you had the bark beetle, which, you know, is destroying a lot of the trees here. So you had a lot of dead wood, you know, the lack of land management in some part, and just the drought. And you put all those factors together and you get a fire that is just hard to control. I think there are almost 3,500 firefighters working this fire, and I guess for at least a day they couldn't provide aerial support because the winds were too strong, so they couldn't drop any of the retardants. So the fire kind of had was left mostly unchallenged for a day, at least a day or so. But, here we are in Malibu, Pacific Coast Highway right here, PCH. Here's Neptune's Net. Well, looks okay. After that woman rear-ended me in Palm Springs, I was given a rental car for a month by her insurance company. So I spent that month just cruising around this area trying to find a place to live because I was moving out from the desert. And I actually spent a few nights in the car at this spot. It's like the only spot I could find where the police wouldn't hassle you. So I slept in the car a few nights, and because it's just really expensive around here to get a hotel or an Airbnb. But I would see the whole surfing culture. You'd see all these vans with people just sleeping in them, and you know, they'd come out with their surfboards and their wetsuits and they'd go surfing in the water, which I guess is pretty cold. It looks cold. Oh, I think I got some tourist scraps, don't you? As I mentioned before, there are a number of ways that you can donate or volunteer if that's something you want to do. One of the easiest ways is probably just to text wildfires to 90999, and I think that will automatically donate $10. You know, there's Red Cross, there's the Humane Society, there's the LAFD, and there's the Los Angeles County Fire Department, and you can donate directly through their websites. No matter what level of prosperity or a lack of prosperity, whether you're dispossessed or you're well off, you know, losing your home is a devastating thing. If I had lost my home, I'd really appreciate people trying to help me out in any way that they could. But life goes on. Beautiful. Beautiful guy. Beautiful kid. That's a giant fucking rock. Texting. texting, smoking a joint, texting, texting. Can't tell what he's doing. Texting, smoking a joint, texting.